Hi guys, I'm going to review a video called What I Eat in a Day to Build Muscle by Magnus Method.
What's up guys, Magnus here. Welcome back to my channel.
What's with the girly gesture? Weird.
Magnus here. This week I'm going to talk about what I eat in a day to build muscle. Before we get into what I eat in a day, let's talk about macros or macronutrients. Protein, fat and carbs. The reason...
Did he really just show avocados as the fat? Because basically it only has plant oils.
I bring those up is that it's crucial for you to know which foods that are containing protein, fat and carbs. You see, protein are the building blocks of muscle and tissue. You need to eat enough protein to build muscle mass. Both protein and fat are fuel for the body. So you can choose to eat more fat, less carbs, or vice versa.
Okay, so the avocado is definitely the fat and the carbs are noodles. So great.
Or a nice little mix of both. At the end of the day, they are...
Was that supposed to be the mix? A bunch of vegetables?
Both fuel for the body. Now when you know...
Weird video already.
Protein and fat and carb does for you, let's talk about my philosophy. I'm a big believer in that the diet that's the best diet for you is the one that you can stick to. I don't like to deprive myself of foods that I...
Well, yes, it's the food that you can survive off of, which is of course the natural food for any animal. It's the same for humans.
I like. If I want a pizza on a Wednesday, I'm gonna have a pizza on a Wednesday. What I'm really paying attention to...
If you want a pizza, then you have a different kind of problem. Then you're addicted to drugs, essentially, because there are drugs put into pizzas, literally drugs.
...is how many times I have those type of meals in a week. Or not even a week, in a 4-day cycle. You see, I think in 4-day cycles when it comes to food. I eat 5 times per day. That equals 20 meals.
It's good that he eats often and doesn't promote intermittent fasting or some kind of nonsense. At least, I hope so.
In 4 days. So, out of 20 meals, I make sure that 17 are on point. 3 meals out of 20.
And of course he shows all of this green stuff. And that's on the point. All of those were man-made vegetables, which are not found in nature, and also some fruit, which, from what I could see, was also cultivated anyway. So nothing natural whatsoever. But that's a super good diet.
I enjoy life. I eat whatever I want. So in 4 days, I can enjoy life.
Actually, that's not enjoying life. When you're addicted to junk food, you're actually miserable and depressed, and you're definitely not enjoying life. Literally, that's what it is. If you ever feel like you need to eat pizza... whatever, all of the nonsense, then you definitely have a huge problem and are most definitely depressed. There's no way around it. You're not enjoying life. It's just impossible.
Times. Anything from pizza, burger, to an ice cream or a glass of wine or a beer. That's not...
I understand his point about maybe not being religious about a diet, but when you actually want to eat those things, you literally get a craving for it, then you have an issue.
Too bad, is it? And before we continue, I want to thank the sponsor of this video. Alright, let's get into what I eat in a day to build muscle. So I'm around 190 pounds, a little more, which is about 87, 88 kilos. That means I'm trying...
That's my weight, exactly.
Trying to eat around 190 grams of protein in a day. So I eat 2 grams of protein per kilo body weight. I have a confession to make. I don't really walk around on a daily basis counting calories and macros, making sure that I'm on the gram right every day. I've been doing this for such a long time, so I can more or less eye it. I know what 40 grams of protein looks like nowadays. And I don't care if it's 39 or 42. I know approximately, and for me that's good enough. So before...
That's absolute nonsense anyway, because every food has its own biological value, which means that on paper you could say 40, but you're gonna get 20 out of it if you eat chickpeas for protein or some kind of nuts.
I show you a typical breakfast of mine. Here's something for you. This is one of my favorite breakfasts. It's my own quesadilla. So in this quesadilla we have our tortillas. I like the flour tortillas better than the corn, so that's what I'm using. We got my 3 to 4 eggs. We got jalapeno, pickled jalapeno, which makes it a little less spicy, a little vinegary. Taco sauce, aged cheddar cheese, salt and pepper. Firing up the grill here. So we start off by putting the eggs in, putting some black pepper and salt. Then we're adding...
Another thing, for example, if you would take this meal and count the protein, and he would think that eggs have this and this much protein, he would be wrong, because if you cook eggs, you destroy a lot of the protein. That's just one example as to how you can't look at a black and white paper of how much protein, fat, or whatever a food supposedly has, because if it is plant-based, then it's going to be different anyway. And if you're going to cook it, then for sure it's going to be way less. Generally, you're going to get way less nutrients, macro and micro.
Our cheese, and then we got our tortilla. Normally I have a bigger tortilla. Today I only had a small one in my pantry, so this is what we'll use. We're going to flip it, putting some taco sauce on top. That was a lot. And there we have the pepper. Then I'm folding it, making sure that the cheese has melted in between the tortilla and the egg.
Just looks like junk food. I guess that you would say that this is what you eat when you don't eat junk food, such as the pizza, but really, what's the difference, really?
And then we are plating it. So here we go. We got protein from the eggs. We got also some good fats. Carbs comes.
You could get some good fat from the eggs and the cheese. Yes, that's true. But you also get a lot of the anti-nutrients from the tortilla. And of course, those anti-nutrients will actually inhibit the digestion of the protein in the eggs and the cheese. So you will actually get even less. You already destroyed it by cooking it. And of course, with the tortilla, you're really destroying how much protein you're getting. And of course, there's also other anti-nutrients in there.
The tortilla and the sauce. All right, let's give it a try. It's past breakfast, but I can't resist. Not too shabby. A typical snack for me is Vasa crisp bread, 2 or 3 of these. Smoked salmon is a personal favorite. I got about 120 grams here.
He just seems like a typical trainer, or whatever you call them today. He's the guy who trained Alexander, whatever his name is, Skarsgård or something, that Swedish guy, for that movie Northman. So he promotes a kind of Viking diet. And before he adds the sauce to that stupid thing he just made, trying to kind of imitate something, animal-like, blood-like, I don't know what else that's supposed to be, because it of course has nothing to do with a Viking diet or anything close to that. Basically, he has no idea really what he's talking about. In the mainstream media, he would be promoted as somebody who knows how to build muscle, how to train, and what to eat exactly. It's nonsense.
2 big slices, lemon juice, put some freeze-dried.
And why would you use those grains? Why not just eat the fish? Like, why? You can't even explain it anyway. You're just consuming toxins and anti-nutrients with empty carbs, empty calories. It's pointless. It's slave food. You're literally eating slave food. You understand that this was created for slaves and that you're an absolute moron for putting your fish on that and not eating the fish alone. And you're also eating farm-raised fish anyway, which is stupid in itself.
Fried chives on. And here we go. This is a...
Don't get me wrong. It's great that he's not vegan or promoting vegetarianism or something, but still, come on.
perfect snack for someone who wants to stay healthy and build muscle mass.
How are you going to stay healthy by eating that? I don't get it. It's just,
crisp bread
it makes no sense.
A lot of slow carbs, no sugar whatsoever. Then we have the...
Ha 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 ha! No sugar whatsoever. What? Carbohydrates are sugar. It's literally sugar. You just put fish on sugar. And then you say, no sugar. Now I'm realizing that he really doesn't know what he's talking about.
Salmon, which is high in protein.
Oh wow, that fat just looks toxic as hell.
And pretty high in fat as well, but good fat. Yeah, lemon is just lemon.
You could never eat that stuff raw. You can, but you're gonna get food poisoning from it.
Vitamins. Alright guys, it's been about 3 hours since we had our
What vitamins?
snack. It's time for lunch. When I cook lunch, it looks a lot like my dinner. We are gonna cook some salmon. I know I had salmon as a snack, but you can have any type of fish here. It doesn't matter if it's a sea bass, halibut.
Ugh. Was he pouring plant oils all over the fish?
Or your local fish, where you're from. We got some sweet potato. Sweet potato is a good...
What does he mean? Locally farm-raised fish? Or what does he mean by local? And it is good that he's going to cook the fish because, as I said, it would be toxic if he ate it raw. Basically, what you do nowadays with food in general is most food and a lot of meat is very toxic and you can get food poisoning very easily, which is why humans cook it. It's bad to cook food in general, but nowadays, because the food is so bad, you destroy the toxins for the most part, which is why you don't get food poisoning from eating farm-raised fish, for example, but you also destroy most of the nutrients. So you're just left with empty calories, protein, fat, and carbs.
Low carb. Broccoli, gonna break up
Basically, this is why people suffer from malnutrition.
the broccoli, put it in the pan. Then we have our Brussels sprouts. I'm actually gonna cut these up because they will not be
And this is perfect proof that he's absolutely brainwashed and just follows the dietary guidelines wherever he learned them. Broccoli is, of course, insanely toxic to the human body. It has a very strong poison called sulforaphane, which kills everything that it comes in contact with. Everything. It's really deadly. You could literally die from it if you, for example, made a drink out of it, out of the extracted poison. And also goitrogens.
Not everyone loves it. Not everyone loves broccoli.
And nobody likes it. Nobody loves it. A lot of people in my comments always say, oh yeah, I like to eat broccoli with a lot of cheese and butter. Well, no, you don't like the broccoli. The only thing that you like is the cheese and the butter. You're lying to yourself and living in denial. You're delusional if you can't simply admit that you don't like the broccoli. It's impossible because it completely goes against your senses.
I love both, so I like to cook or make a combo of both. Then I'm taking some olive oil, gonna drizzle. I'm gonna use some balsamico. This is
really bad idea to cook in plant oils because they oxidize very quickly. Again, this is a typical slave who just follows the dietary guidelines and doesn't use animal fat to cook. What does this have to do with Vikings or anything truly Scandinavian? Nothing whatsoever. If they cooked food, they always cooked in animal fat. It just...
It's actually a glaze which makes it thicker. I'm gonna spread it on both the broccoli and the Brussels sprout.
Why do you eat them at all when it's obvious that you don't want to eat the greens? Why are there so many greens on the plate? Like, what's the purpose? He's not gonna give a reason as to why he's eating them, I bet.
Then we have, then I'm gonna put some everything bagel seasoning. This sucker we have onion, garlic, sesame seeds, and other spices. Today
all of them are toxic.
Putting it on the broccoli only. I'm gonna take some smoked sea salt and put it on the Brussels sprouts and
sea salt is also toxic.
The salmon. In the oven, 425 degrees. Simple. All right, it's been about 20 minutes. Let's see where we are with our lunch. Okay, everything's looking great. We're gonna go ahead.
It's actually very funny that you can't eat any of this stuff raw without getting sick. It's very funny.
And plate it. There's always a little compromise when you are adding different types of foods on a plate. The salmon would probably have done well with 5 minutes less, and the sweet potatoes would probably...
Nah, man, I just really gotta say it. What a freaking loser. Really. This is what happened to Scandinavian men? Eating broccoli from an oven, sweet potatoes, and cooked farm-raised fish? Like, this guy can't even go out and fish his own food. Just disgusting.
We have wanted, 5 minutes more. Today it's a good compromise. You could use 2 plates and leave one in for an extra 5 minutes, but this looks
I'm just
good enough.
ashamed and
The
embarrassed.
salmon is high in protein, so that's our protein source. We do get a little protein in the broccoli and the Brussels sprouts as well, but not very much. There's also some good fats.
Yeah, look. What more proof do you want that he doesn't want to eat that stuff? He cooked it to death, man. Like, he's trying to imitate meat, basically, by cooking it so much that you can't even taste the broccoli and the Brussels sprouts anymore.
The salmon, the sweet potatoes are a great source of carbs. Let's give it a try.
It's just a source of carbs. It's not a great source.
This is really good, actually. So it's been 3 hours since our
At least it looks like he goes out in the sun a lot. I hope so.
delicious lunch. It's time for a second snack. And where I normally eat cottage cheese is another favorite, or Greek yogurt. If you have followed me, you know that Greek yogurt. I've been talking about Greek yogurt in the past, called different things in different countries. It's basically a form of yogurt that's high in protein. So I'm going to show you what
Greek yogurt is high in fat more so, that's what it's known for.
I like to do with my cottage cheese. I'm making sure to get about 30 grams of protein. Just read the label, figure out how much you need to put there. Today I'm slicing up a banana and putting it in, but I also like to use an apple or a pear. I'm also adding some hazelnuts, and then we're going to top off with some cinnamon. And we are done.
Cinnamon is very toxic, why do you add it? Try to eat the whole thing of cinnamon, you'll probably die. You'll probably throw up, but if there was a way to keep it in.
Let's talk about the ingredients. We get the protein from the nuts and the cottage cheese. We get fibers from both the banana and the nuts, and we get the good fats from the nuts.
Why do you mention fiber? I don't get it. You give no explanation. What is supposed to be good about eating fiber?
Well, it's not dinner yet, so I will not make dinner right now, but I'm gonna...
So what was that? He wanted the fiber and pasteurized dairy, which has no micronutrients? Just some empty macros again? Pretty horrible meals so far.
Walk you through what I will cook for dinner and what I typically cook for dinner. Here we got a really nice piece of...
I like that.
Dry aged ribeye. This is going to be our protein source.
Do they call it ribeye where he's from? Because in most of the earth we call this rump steak.
Ribeye is also a little high in fat, so we're going to get some fuel from this steak as well. Then I'm going to make a salad of baby arugula. I'm probably going to shave in some fennel, carrots, make a dressing with olive oil, lemon juice, sea salt, maybe a little Dijon. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do oven roasted potatoes or if I'm making brown rice with mushrooms. It will definitely be one of those two, but both of those are carb sources, fuel as well. So
okay, the carb sources I can somewhat understand. Definitely go for the potatoes more so than the rice. But why the salad again? This guy is just really blindly doing what the government tells him, essentially.
We get some good fats, so we get some protein from our steak, also some fats, fuel, micronutrients, and all the...
Yeah, the good fat would be from the steak.
The good stuff from the salad. And the potatoes or the rice will also be our fuel in form of carbs. There you have it. This is what I typically eat in a day. It is important to make sure that you get enough fuel, carbs and fat and protein to be able to put on as much muscle mass as possible. Let me just wrap up with saying...
This guy needs to learn how to adjust his shutter speed because it's flickering in the background.
I'm not a huge fan of overeating or bulking too much. As you can tell, I'm pretty lean. I don't think you need to put on a bunch of fat just to gain maximum amounts of muscle mass.
That's true.
If you guys enjoyed this video, I hope you got some inspiration, something that you can take with you. And
not really at all.
Please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, or I'll throw the steak at you. And I'll see you next week.
Okay, it would have been nice to see how he cooked the steak. I would hope rare, but I wouldn't be surprised if he cooks it well done. Maybe medium rare. He just seems really brainwashed. He follows the guidelines like a proper sheep. What else can I say? He learned some extra things about how to build muscle, but there's no explanation as to why he uses so many man-made vegetables. He's eating toxic fiber for no reason. Then he says to make a salad, but doesn't explain why. If this is about building muscle, then why would you consume extra toxins that your body has to detox from, that most certainly is going to decrease your muscle mass? And why would you not simply eat raw meat, which is your natural diet, which all of the Vikings ate, which is the history of what Scandinavian people ate? A lot of raw fish, elk and whatnot. Why cook the meat, eat farm-raised garbage, and a bunch of vegetables which you can't even explain? Just explain it. Just give us a reason as to why you do it. It's just so nonsensical. It would be one thing if this video was called What I Eat in a Day to Be Healthy or Balanced. Then you hear the typical garbage about eating some protein, fat, plant oils and vegetables. Okay, I understand that kind of brainwash, but then to say that this is how you will build muscle, it really makes no sense at all. It's very misleading. Nobody should be listening to him. Leave out all of the plants, or at least most of them. Eat some fruit for carbs if you want. Don't eat potatoes and gut-destroying seeds. Never eat any seeds ever. He even called it healthy. Yeah. Thanks for watching.